Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Waffles RC. Wanted to say thank you to everybody. I truly appreciate all the likes, the comments, subscriptions, the views. It's gotten way more traction than I ever thought that it would. So that means I feel like I've tapped into the right market of people wanting to see a homemade, from scratch, or from random pieces of metal on how to build your own custom RC and not have to go to the store and buy one and then customize it. So today, I'm going to start a new project for everybody. I'm going to build the frame, do all the suspension, put all the electronics, paint the body, everything like that. Today's episode will just be building the frame, and I'll show you my processes of how I put the frame together. All right, so enough of me being on camera. That's not what people are here for. So what I'm planning on building today is, okay, I'm not actually building that truck. As you can see, it's already built. But I'm going to build a 1/10 scale version of my own truck. Okay, so this is not only just the display table, this is actually the workbench where we're going to be building the frame for our truck. We'll work on this one another time. Set you right there. There we go. What we have here is metal, obviously. This is the metal that we're going to use for the frame. Got two pieces here. What it is just moldable, 1/2 inch square, 4 foot long. Got these at Lowe's for about 15 bucks each, and that is what I have made the frame on. That one, and the trailer. It's all made out of that stuff. So I try to build the frames pretty much exactly like a car. It's a hybrid. Anyhow, so see, you got the arch coming up there that allows for axle clearance, at least not on this truck, but it would. Then you dip down here, and that's where you keep your battery, transmission, motor, electronics, anything like that. And it brings it back up so that the rear axle, or either axle, front and rear, have room to travel up and down. And as you see on the real truck, they do basically the same thing. It goes straight, then it comes down. Then after it comes down, it goes underneath the cab back there, and then turns up so that you have room for the axle to go up. So you got the metal. There are two things that I've learned from building all of these. Two main measurements that you need. You need to know exactly how long your body is and how long your wheelbase is, so that way you adjust your frame from there. So for those measurements, you need a body. Here, I don't know if that's coming through because it's clear, we have our Toyota truck body on a nice flat surface that you can draw on. Metal out of the way. Take a tape measure, take a measurement of the truck, figure out exactly how long it is, get that all the way basically to the back. Right here to the front, it's about 20 inches, but I'm going to make it to 19 just because you want the frame to end inside, so that way you can mount bumpers or just to get the frame to sit inside of the truck itself. Next measurement you want is your wheelbase. It's a very exact science here. Get it at about the middle, right here at about the middle of the opening of the wheel well. As you can see, I am very accurate. So we have that part of the tape measure close enough. We'll move it a little bit to the center of the rear arch. Then if you imagine there being more here, center of this arch, we will say is about 12.5 inches. Let's go for 13. We'll stretch it. So we have those measurements. Let's move the body out of the way. And once again, you can use whatever you want, flat surface. I'm using the workbench because that's what I have. But you can use wood, anything like that. Just a nice, relatively clean surface that you can draw on. So this is just how I do it. Start it at right there at 5 inches. 5 inches. Then take this, match it up. Get a pen that works. That usually helps too. Hold on. All right, now we have a pen that works. Take our line. So now, as you can see, got a straight level line because we used a level. Anyhow, now I got the line, and we need to take the first measurement at 20 inches. That would be our total length. And we'll mark it, wait, 19. So we'll mark it at 19 inches. Then draw a line right there. And that'll be our other end. So the other trick that you can do for the wheelbase is you have end of your frame there, end of your frame there. You can almost see through the body. It's right close to the edge and also close to the edge. So now find the middle of your wheel well and yep, draw yourself a line where is in the center. Same thing on the front. I don't like that one. Yeah, right there. You can take your measurements and verify that it's close to the same measurements you had in the beginning. I do it this way because, well, I'm not good with one of these. So I just like to guess, but that's what makes all my vehicles unique. Nothing's absolutely perfect on them. This one's going to be exactly the same. Now you have that done. Now the body can be put away somewhere safe. Don't want it getting burnt up. So now that we have those measurements, lay your metal down. So that's about how long your frame is going to be. This will be one frame rail. But you have to have that kick down in the middle, just like this one has. You can see it right there, goes down, back up. That's about the same style that we're going to do here. So the way that I like to have the kick downs is you want the frame higher, kind of tucked up, if not down just a little bit, right into here inside the wheel well. Then right about here, you want it to drop down so that way it goes towards the bottom of the body. And same thing back here, you want it to start kicking up so that way it stays relatively hidden underneath the body back here and then stays up all the way, or you could bring it down. Once again, all this is up to you. I'm just showing you how I do it. So what I'm going to do is draw more lines on where I want that kick down to happen. So I'll have it come down there. We'll have it start going back up right there. Now we're there. We'll move the body, move the metal. Now we will just draw some lines on here. I want to get them as relatively straight as possible. There are your lines. So you don't confuse yourself, ask me how I know. Write down which one of these lines are what. Yes, it may look very strange. Doesn't look like you're actually drawing anything, and I know that there's a lot of people out there that are probably cringing looking at this, but this is how it's worked for me, and I'm going to keep doing it exactly how I've been doing it. So now you have your piece of metal there. Since we're doing the kick down right here, that's what the D is for down. That's just what reminds me. I'm going to put a line right here as I move it. The other thing you want to do, since you're making two frame rails, now that you have this mark, you take this part, cut it off, then put it right here, cut another one. Now you have the start of two frame rails. That way all parts are going to be the same exact cut for each one. So I'm going to take this piece, match it up just like that, mark a line, then I'll have the two front pieces for each frame rail. As you can see, don't have fancy bench tools. I build all of these with this right here. Take them, line them up. There you go. There's the two front pieces. So now you take your front pieces, you put them on your line. Make sure that where the end of the frame is matches to where you want to do the kick down. So now you may be wondering how to measure for how much you want the frame to kick down. Honestly, I just guess. I'll say I want it to come down about 1.5 inches. With our 1.5 inch measurement, which was a total guess, I'm gonna measure 1.5 inches. Draw yourself another line all the way across. I'm sure this looks complicated, especially to people that know math and geometry very well. I don't know, I found that it works. So that 1.5 inch measurement, I wanted it, my neighbor is doing some sawing. I wanted it from the bottom of this part of the frame to the bottom of this one. No one else has caught it. Pretty sure I just messed up. But let's see. Yep, I messed up. So like I said in the last video, gonna make mistakes. But you know what? Mistakes happen. You just learn from them and move on. Don't use Sharpie on a metal desk because apparently it doesn't come off like I thought it would. What the mistake was is this right here. Put the wheelbase there and the drop there. They're supposed to be the other way around. Let's do that. And that. Yes, I have bad handwriting. I can read it. It's all that matters. Also, when it comes to mistakes, don't throw them away. You never know if you're going to need them. Let's try this again. You want to cut in the correct spot because that usually helps. And back to the one take making a frame rail. This is what I really want to show people. If you make a mistake, just move on from it. You don't need to dwell on it. Now I have some scrap pieces back there. Found the mistake. And now I'm going to redo it. So now we're all set up. And you may be wondering how I'm going to find the angle for it to drop down to here, because you want it, I like them to be at a little bit of an angle. To find this angle, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that have angle finders and they know the proper exact angle. I personally, I guess, honestly, it's what's worked for me so far. And I'm just going to keep doing it. Yep, my soul is telling me that that's about good right there. I actually just realized, one, this is the other frame rail. Can't use that. But, oh look, our mistake pieces. They fit perfectly. Got one of each. So now, I'm going to do my version of a line for it. Draw it there, draw it there. That one's on the corner. I'll say right there. Why not? Don't move these pieces while I'm gone. Those need to stay right there, or else that won't fit. And a vise sure would be nice. Let's see how good of a guess I did. It's not perfect. I moved this one down just a little bit from where our line is. I don't know if you can see it, but moved it down. That way there isn't such a big gap there, and that we can grind off, weld it up. This is part of making stuff from scratch. You're going to make mistakes. Sometimes you just got to go and work with it. So as you can see, that cut, we do the same cut on two pieces. That way you have two frame rails. So now we're going to come down here, cut this piece right here, and cut two of those. All right. Right there. That one up there, because there's your two frame rails. All right. Now we have to do this kick up right here, and we're going to do it the same way, but we have to compensate for the mistake that was made right there. Once again, I don't do any proper angles or measurements, anything like that. I'm just doing what looks right to me. So now that we're at this point, once you figure out exactly where you want that piece, I want it about there. There's our wheelbase. So now I'm going to cut this one at the end. And cut two of those. All right, got those cut. Now you're going to put this, compensate for my mistake. Put that there. And once again, we'll do very technical measurements. Got that piece cut. Try not to move everything else. And there we go. Cut all the pieces that you measure out for this one. Just duplicate them. Now you have your two frame rails. Now you just weld them all together. So this is my welder. It is not a very expensive welder. You can get them at Harbor Freight. I actually bought this one off of a buddy. It is a bit powerful for doing RC stuff, but all I do is this right here. Turn it down. It is a gas welder. You can use a flux core, one of the cheaper welders. You really don't need gas, because the good thing about having tools is you have a grinder. You can take all the slag off from the flux core welder and it'll look just exactly the same and be just as strong, because remember, it's an RC. It's not like you're trying to tow. Oh, that's right, I tow. This one won't tow, so it'll be just fine. If you have a smartwatch and you're about to start welding, take it off, especially when it's a cheap one. Ask me how I know. All right. There are better ways of grounding it. This is how I do it. I'll put everything back on your lines, make sure it's all as close as it can be. Start tacking it together. I had to stop, there was kids walking by. Don't want to blind them. So at this time, I'm going to use your line because everything kind of moves around when you tack it. You want to get it as straight as you possibly can. Once again, not looking for perfection. Unless you are looking for perfection, then do feel free. Looks a little crooked. Now it doesn't. Alright guys, that's that. Got them both welded up relatively straight. Now I will never claim that I am the best welder or that this is the best welder for building an RC. And I will wholeheartedly admit I will not win a beauty contest with any of these welds. But do I care? No, they're mine. I'm not taking them to shows. I'm going to take them out to the wild and I'm going to beat them up. So I don't care if the welds aren't the prettiest, as long as they hold. That's all that matters to me. And plus, if you have one of these, you can make any weld look good. So that's really something I hope that everybody takes away from this video, is that yes, they're not the prettiest or the straightest, but you do the best that you can. You make it good, and remember, you're building your own RC. You're not building it to impress anybody. You're just taking something so it looks like this, and you're going to take it out, and you're going to go have fun with it. Doesn't need to win a beauty contest, nothing like that. That's what all my RCs are. They are for me and my wife and you guys. Let's get those perfect welds on here. There you go. All ground up. May not be the prettiest, but it looks like a frame rail. So you got your frame rails, they're all ground up. So the next measurement you need is how thick you want the frame to be. That solely depends on whichever axles you choose to get. I have these ones, took them from the Cadillac because people wanted to see a scratch build. So I'm doing a scratch build. So the measurement you want to take is from where your shocks mount, which are these two outside ones, or inside, wherever you feel like placing it, because once again, this is yours. I'm going to do to the outside, that particular one right there. So measure from there to there, the two middle ones, and then that will become the width from outside to outside of the frame. The reason for that is you want your shocks, when they're on there, mounted like that, you want them to be straight up and down. To do that, you can't have the frame too skinny or too wide. Then it'll sit cockeyed like that, or it just won't work at all. Okay, so 3 3/4. That's on these particular axles. Now the front one here, double check that as well. 3 3/4. So that's the width that we want these to be outside to outside. Take frame rails, 3 3/4, outside to outside, and double check. And that just messed it all up. You can also use some of your scrap pieces as a straight edge. Once you get them to your measurement that you came up with earlier, you can take your piece, mark it. It's inside to inside. Very technical measurements over here. That just might work perfectly. So this is the issue that I ran into on that one and on that one. Even though I measured everything, when you weld it, everything pulls or it stretches or flexes. This one's a little bit longer than that one. So what I do, try to line up these. So that way everything lines up, at least with that, because that's where we're mounting the control arms and stuff. Frame that's together and hot. I never claimed that I am the best welder on the planet, nor will I ever. Now you're at this point, you have a frame all together. You're going to flip it over, put it back in your drawing, and where you labeled wheelbase, that is where you want the center of your axle. Put my glasses on so I can see. Made the marks of where my wheelbase is, and I let it cool down. That helped. This is the front, this is the back. I know that, but you can always write on it F, B, however helps you. You take your axle, you want the center line of your axle, going right down the center, to line up with that mark. Slap it on here, line it up with your marks as straight as you possibly can. You're going to mark on there with these, which are the shock mounts, and as you can see, they're offset. So now you have your wheelbase line, and that line is going to be where you want to mount the center line of your shocks, so that when it's sitting at its right height, that the shocks are straight. Once you have your marks on there, remember, use the rear axle for your mark and your front axle for your front mark, because as you can see, rear axle has a bigger gap than the front one does. Once you do that, get yourself some flat metal. As you can see, scrap metal from another project that this was a mistake. I'm going to make some shock towers, as I'm going to call them. So what I do is I take that piece of scrap metal right there, get your shock, coil over, whatever you want to call it. So you're going to want to cut this out so that there's enough room, enough meat to be able to hold a hole for the shock while still giving it enough strength. Take this little bracket, line the hole with your mark. As you can see, sort of, because I kind of ground it away. You line your hole that you drill through them with the line that you put on the frame earlier for where you want the shock to mount straight to the axle. Now we have shock tower mounts. Another good thing to get, package of these. They're just plastic spacers, very good, especially when you have to offset the springs just a little bit. Also get yourself some M3 hardware, random sizes, everything like that. It's perfect for stuff like this. You take your shock, put your spacer on, get everything quit moving. Then do the same for the front. I don't know if anybody noticed, but mounted it backwards. You can't get frustrated with any of this just because you're building something custom. Nothing's gonna go exactly how you planned it, exactly how you want it. Sometimes you just got to make corrections. And there we are. We got the frame together, got the shocks mounted. Now we just have to build the links. Next, you're going to do whatever you can to prop the frame up, get the axles into position, get the pinions close to where you want them. You want the coilovers a little bit back because that's at full extension. And as this goes up, this is going to travel forward as it goes up. Now I have to make a piece for these to mount to, which we are going to keep going with what I have, which is some angle iron, 1/2 inch, 1/8 inch thick. It's just what I have. So that's what I'm going to use. You're going to want to put them up about where you want them. Remember, this is, I haven't set it, so this is going to be triangulated 4-link front and rear. So these are going to be more towards the middle. You're going to take that, get them up there, and then you're going to mark the frame of where you want them. So now, I'm going to take this, cut it to that length right there. Massage it just a little bit. Got those welded on just temporarily. We'll get them mounted up real quick. Another good thing to have. Get yourself a whole mess of link arms. Got all the links on. The lowers are connected. Now I have to make the piece for the uppers. For making those, I'm sure that there is geometry that is correct. Even on the small scale, geometry helps, but I'm just gonna wing it. So what I did was I just marked from the outside of the arm to the outside. So that way I have a good mounting point to drill the holes for these. Now I'm gonna go cut it out of my fancy metal and weld her up. Nice measuring. One day I'll learn how to do this. There you have it. That is a frame with axles mounted onto it. And the pinion angle on the back is a little too sharp. There we go. That is a functioning chassis. Rolls, does all the stuff. Now, once we get some more weight in there, that is going to be perfect. Still have to push the body up a little bit higher, obviously. Got to level it all out. There we are. Got our frame in there. Got our links, axles, coilovers, and it all in there. Now it's not to say that there still isn't a lot of work to do to finish this thing, but that is really cool. So is this the best frame that's out there? No, not at all. Not by any means. It's definitely not the lightest. But for 6 hours worth of work, I have a rolling frame for that body. In case anybody was wondering about the parts or the bracelet, my wife just made it, so I'm wearing it. I like it. I don't care. I got these link ends, rod ends, whatever you want to call them. As you can tell by all the rust that's in there. This pack right here was $12. So $12 for 10 rod ends, which on this we used 16, 8 per axle. So you get 2 packets of those. Links, you can get a big package of them as well. As you can see, I've used almost all of them, but that's just one of many. Picked up each pack of those for about 10 bucks. And this is all Amazon special, but I run it on all of these, so there's nothing wrong with them. And I like these ones because they're metal, they're not plastic. I've had issues with the plastic stripping out, the plastic rod end stripping out of the links. It's a personal experience. I have a bunch of them. I don't like running them. These coil springs that are on here, I think I got all 4 of those for about $18. You can search online, you can find them for all sorts of prices. Axles that are on it, I think those were about $110, so spent a little bit on those. Still have one 4-foot rod, didn't use. So $15 for the main frame. All the other metal that's in here, call it safe at another 10 bucks, so $25 for that. I had to get the calculator. Not very good with math. As it sits, without the wheels and tires, frame, suspension, axles, links, metal, all that stuff comes out to around $200. Granted, that's not cheap, and I'm never going to say that that's cheap. It's still a good amount of money. But if you think about it, this is $600 before you even upgrade it. $200, got a metal frame, metal axles, metal links, longer coilovers. To me, this is upgraded. This was $600 not upgraded. And this looks really cool. And I built it, so it's mine. I think this is going to turn out really awesome. Can't wait to finish it. So next time when I shoot a video, I'm going to finish everything off. I'm going to mount the transmission, motor, steering servo onto the axle, get the battery in here. We'll get this thing finished up and working. It's going to take some time. I am not completely made of money, but I will get this done. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you learned some stuff. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'll get to them as best as I can. And hope you guys all have a great evening. As you can tell, it's dark now. So we'll get back on this once we get some more parts. And then we'll finish it off, and then we'll go and take it out with a few of the other ones and go beat the heck out of it, because that's what I'm building it for. Thanks, guys.